I'm versatile. I can play wherever they need me to be, so I'm comfortable in the midfield and I love playing up forward.
Blake in position, eh? How about that? The Dukes were magnificent.
Strengths up forward would be my marking and my work rate. In the midfield, win my own ball and then get it to the different ball users around.
This is a SwansCast Extra, the number one Sydney Swans fans weekend preview podcast. With me tonight is the voice behind Swans Facebook group Road to Glory, Stephen Park. In this week's episode, we preview the Swans' opening season clash against the Western Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium on Saturday night. We talk about that top, discuss the selections and what we're looking forward to, matchups, key points, and give the weekend forecast. So, Stephen, welcome to the first SwansCast Extra episode of the season, and it's a big one, with the Swans playing the Western Bulldogs on Saturday night.
It certainly is, Justin, and I'm really looking forward to it. I can't believe footy season is back. I'm so happy.
Oh, it's been too long. But look, if you watched any of the JLT, I watched a bit of it. I know a few people haven't. But some of the moments inside the JLT didn't really excite me for the season ahead.
No, me either. I'm a bit concerned about some of the new rule changes, and I'm a bit concerned about the way they're going to be interpreted by players, umpires, and spectators.
Yes, there was a couple of instances of 100-metre penalties over that sort of JLT community competition, and there certainly were a couple of issues with the preseason matches the week before as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how the players adapt to that.
Yeah, and I think there could be quite a few players getting very, very frustrated with umpires this year. I just have that feeling.
Yeah. Now, straight at the top of the agenda, we've got the teams. They are straight in, and it is a bit of a doozy. We do have Lance Franklin. He is confirmed in, but there's a bit of an asterisk, I think, next to his name, because if you look at that forward line, and I know you're going to talk about this later, and I completely agree, it is the tallest forward line we've fielded since must be 2014.
That's right, and we're looking at a very, very large forward line. And when you add Dan Mansell in when he's ready to go, we're looking at a huge forward line this year.
We are, and Sam Reid is obviously the biggest in that we've got. He is a massively important player for us, and we have severely missed him. The other one that we can look at is Nick Blakey making his debut as well, which is exciting. His JLT was probably a little bit hit and miss, but again, he's only 18 years old. He's a young player. He's pretty thin, so maybe a goal would be a good result for him. Just get the ball a couple of times would also be great, but I don't think we should expect too big from him at the moment. The interesting one, though, is Callum Sinclair has been named on a forward line with Alira in the ruck. What do you make of that, Stephen?
Well, I was really surprised by that. I actually didn't think that Alira did a great job in the JLT Cup when he was the backup ruckman, and in the second game, rucking individually. He competed around the ground really well, but his ruck work just wasn't up to standard. As a backup, yes. As the number one ruckman in our team, I'm just not so sure.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I think there's some decent rationale behind this, because do you remember when they played last season? I think it was round 4 or 5, and Tim English was playing his first game for what must have been like 3 years, and he did a pretty good job against Sinclair back then.
He did, didn't he? So we could be in a situation where they're just looking to run him off his legs, and in all honesty, Tim English is not a great player.
No. He's a big, tall, lumbering ruck who has some, decent skills about him, but he ain't no Max Gawn, and to be honest, he really isn't a Callum Sinclair either.
Callum Sinclair could be carrying a bit of an injury too, and I'm wondering whether that's the reason that he's been named in the forward line and he's actually coming in as the backup for this week.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And also Sam Naismith, he's still out for another 6 weeks at most. It's been named 4 to 6 weeks, but we know with ACL injuries, recovering from them, and recurring injuries after that he's probably on the fat side of 6, not the skinny side. So, look, he's going to be a big addition when he comes in, but the Swans, they're going to have to battle for at least a month and a half, 2 months without him.
Do you want to know my tip on Naismith? I don't reckon he'll play until at least around 12 or 13, and then he'll be back in the NEFL.
Yeah, that's a reasonable guess. I would probably tend to agree with that. It really depends on how much training he's done over the preseason. If he hasn't done any preseason training at all and he's not fit, then yeah, agree, he's not going to play until the second half of the season. So we do have 4 ins. We have Sam Reid, who's obviously making his return. He last played round 3, I think it was last year. Lewis Malikan, again, making his return. Callum Mills making his return as well. We have Nick Blakey making his debut. We have Ryan Clark making his debut for the Swans, and he's been named to play on the wing. It's pretty exciting to see these players come in. Jackson Thurlow, probably a little bit unfortunate, didn't make the cut though.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised by that. I actually thought he would have been in, basically in front of Ryan Clark as another halfback flanker, and really I would have thought he would have definitely got in over Jordan Dawson, because I wasn't really impressed with what Jordan Dawson brought to the JLT series, and I was really impressed with how Jackson Thurlow fit in.
Yeah, agree. And look, if you look at the team lineup, it's actually quite bizarre compared to where players normally play. We've got Zach Jones as a follower. We've got Callum Mills up against Tony McLean, and Billy Gowers up against Jarrod McVeigh. Those are two matchups which they're just going to get pasted in. Then you've got Tom Papley and Matt Suckling, Ryan Clark and Lockie Hunter, and that's one that Hunter's just going to take into the cleaners on all day long. So it's pretty interesting, like how the two teams have been laid out.
Yeah, I actually don't think that's how they're going to line up at all, to be honest.
A lot of shenanigans there. A lot of cat and mouse going on there.
I would say so.
The last time the Swans played was that dreadful elimination final, and apart from the delistings and the trades that they made, so obviously there's no more Gary Rowan and there's no more Dan Hanbury, Kieran Jack is out. He's not on the injured list, but he has had recurring injuries and he hasn't really had much of a preseason. And Ben Ronk is also out. He hasn't been named at all, so he's in the emergencies.
Why do you reckon that is?
I don't know. Like, he didn't really look that fit. I would say he's probably lacking fitness more than anything else. I watched him in the last JLT game and he just didn't really look at the races. And that could just be a fitness thing.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It is time to take some responses from our social media question that we put out. So we asked on Facebook and Twitter, what are you looking forward to most this week? And is that dog's outfit the worst you've ever seen? Now, we've had some pretty good responses from Facebook. So we've had Heather Quinlan. She said, the dog's jersey looks like something I saw on the 4 p.m. Superman TV shows in 1980. And that was a repeat from the 70s. I'm looking forward to the Swans playing a marvellous match at Marvel Stadium. As we all know, they're superheroes.
Well, wasn't it actually voted by the media? Didn't the AFL pull up a vote and they voted it the worst jumper of any AFL side?
I don't go on AFL much, but that wouldn't surprise me at all. John Clark from Facebook as well. He said, I'm looking forward to the progression of Aaliyah. He looked good playing around the ground in the JLT, and also Papley holding down his role as a burst player in a midfield, which is good. I agree with that. And obviously, Josh Mayer has said, I'm looking forward to the first installation of Eddie Maguire makes an ass of himself for the 2019 season. I think he's already done that feeding the Magpies. What do you think, Stephen?
I think he has too. I actually think he made an ass of himself when it came to the Big Bash, didn't he?
Oh, he's making an ass of himself every day.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, I quite like Eddie. I wish he was still on the footy show.
Oh, he makes you laugh because he's just so outrageous. But Ash from Facebook as well says this game could be a barometer for the year, so it's very important to win well, even if we think the Dogs are a bit poo. They stank in 2016 too, remember? We've got Aiden Vandenberg from Twitter. He said, gotta be the guys coming back from injuries. Reid, Malikan, etc. Except he spelt it Mexican. They're so important to our structures. Also Clark. I don't know why he's put in Hannah's. Hannah's last 2 years were fairly poor, so we need an outside runner. I'm not sure Clark's going to give that. But he does say the Dogs' outfit is pretty ordinary, and I reckon the Hawks have had worse over the years.
I'd be very careful about saying the Dogs' lineup is very ordinary. While they are small,
they've got a lot of pace, and they're very strong.
That's right.
Now, what would be your worst Guernsey or outfit that you can remember?
I would say the Hawthorn one, the one that looked like what were they called?
The Eagle on White?
Yeah, was it the Power Rangers Guernsey they had?
Yeah, the Power Rangers one.
Yeah, that was the worst one.
Now, I reckon my worst one is the Colton M&M's one.
Oh, yeah, that was bad too, wasn't it?
That was worse than the grey one, and the grey outfit was atrocious.
Yeah, last year's outfit by the Blues was pretty bad, especially their shorts, where they had the fake pockets.
Yep. Yeah, it's bad, very bad. Now, look, time to preview the match. The history between the two sides at the venue is that the Swans hold a 9-6 lead in wins head-to-head since 2010. They've won the last two games, and they are 4-1 at Docklands. So that's 9-6 overall and 4-1 at Docklands specifically. So they do hold a pretty good record. Unfortunately, the Dogs won 4 in a row, and that was around that 2015 to 2017 period when they won the grand final and they had our number, albeit by like 4 points here and there.
That's interesting, isn't it? I also find it really interesting that we have such a good lead at the Docklands. Like, we know we play very well there against every side. So I think we've lost one game there in 4 years, is it? 3 years?
Yeah, we lost to the Bulldogs. Not last year, but the year before. No, but we did lose to Richmond last year as well. Our record
That's
at
right, yes.
Docklands is phenomenal. It's probably the best in the league as far as records go. So it's really good ground for us, and it suits our sort of style of play.
That's for sure. Better than the SCG.
Yeah, unfortunately so. And it's going to be even worse than last year at the SCG, especially when they've got rugby league and rugby union being played there, with Allianz Stadium being ripped up and gutted. And I don't know if you've heard, Stephen, but the locals are up in arms and they want to stop the teardown. They actually want the stadium to be refitted, despite the fact it's been gutted and shredded.
Yes, I've all heard about that. I can't believe it. Like, I've seen the aerial photos and I'm going, just let the thing go now. What's the point in actually trying to get it all back together?
They've ripped up the seats on the ground level of the stadium. They've dug up the dirt. They've just gutted it completely. I don't know why they'd be talking about trying to retrofit it or anything like that. Just do away with it.
That's right. And then if you want to, rebuild a new stadium there.
Yeah, that's what they want to do.
Decent.
That's what they want to do. But the SCG Trust is they're in the pockets of someone important. So yeah, there's been some really poor decisions being made about that altogether. But it's interesting.
All these Brains Trust know everything, Justin. The Brains Trust know everything.
The last time these teams played was round 4 last year, and Bulldogs got off to a bit of a flyer, and they looked like they were just going to run over the top. But the Swans in the second half, on the back of Lance Franklin, he kicked 3 second-half goals. They got back into the game and eventually won by 7 points. So Franklin, he did kick his 3 second-half goals. Florent kicked the winner with about a minute and a half left. The running goal with Tim English chasing him down. And Tim English proved he's no slouch. He's just not very good. Then you had Jack McRae. He looked like he might have even picked up 3 Brownlow votes, but he didn't. But he finished with 34 disposals. And the AFL have also predicted in their match preview that he might actually give Tom Mitchell's round 1 54 disposals a nudge this week. So that's how confident they are about Jack McRae ripping us apart on Saturday night. Luke Parker finished with 21 disposals, 3 goals, and he collected all 3 Brownlow votes. Franklin picked up the 2 as well. But this is where it gets really interesting if you look at the stats and just, I don't know, like if you go back, Beveridge was like lambasting the fact that they couldn't convert. They said they're unlucky. They said they should have won. And he has a point because the Dogs had 52 more disposals, 8 more clearances, 18 more inside 50s, 13 more free kicks, and they had more tackles. I think about 6 or 7 tackles. So they had more on almost every single stat, and they still lost by 7 points.
Oh yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? But that happens frequently in our games. We always seem to be able to hold off those extra areas and then still come out on top. The concern for me is whether that can still work, our style of play can still work in the new format of 6-6-6, because it is going to be very open down there now, especially after a goal's kicked.
It is, and look, we're going to touch on that a little bit later on with our key matchups and predictions and whatnot. But if we go back, I'm just having a quick look now. But that 60 to 42 differential wasn't even the worst last year. I think there was one where the Swans lost by about 22 or 23 inside 50s, still won the game by a few goals.
Yeah.
And anyway, on to our matchups for the match. So, Stephen, could you give me your first matchup of the match, please?
My big matchup, I think, is going to be Jack McRae versus George Hewitt. I actually think Jack McRae will start in the middle, and I think George Hewitt will. And I think George Hewitt will try and tag him. And I think, even though the AFL has predicted that he'll get 54 possessions, I'm suggesting he'll get less than 20.
Yeah, if Hewitt can do his job and do it well and keep him on a chain, there is every chance that he's just going to shut him down. And he's probably the most important player. You know, Bontempelli gets all the plaudits, even Hunter gets quite a lot, but yeah, when Jack McRae's on fire, he's literally unstoppable.
That's for sure.
Now, I do have a matchup for you, Stephen.
Yes, what is it?
It's the old Goldie. I reckon it's going to be Franklin and Eastonwood. I'm not sure they're going to give that responsibility to anyone else but Eastonwood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Well, Sam Reid, Callum Sinclair, and even potentially Aaliyah resting forward. And you got Franklin. That is a forward line that would stretch their bare bones defence. Now, who else they're going to put? They got Zane Cordy. And he's going to have to go to Reid. So their only choice is Eastonwood. Matt Suckling's going to get slaughtered. Hayden Crozier's going to get slaughtered. Taylor DeRay's going to get slaughtered. Caleb Daniel, who's named at half-back, not a chance. So, yeah, I think the Swans have actually done a good one with their side here. If they keep it as it is, it's going to have to be Eastonwood and Lance Franklin. And that could well be pivotal in deciding the match.
The question I have with that is that will work if Lance Franklin is actually fit.
Yes, that's a big if.
If not,
Well, it's also good because he does take, if he is manned up on Eastonwood, he does take Eastonwood, so he can just drag him up the ground, force him to even play behind, and it just gives so much extra space for Sam Reid and Callum Sinclair to work into. And if he doesn't take him, well then the Swans have won the game, because I would loathe to think that anyone else is going to pick him up, because Eastonwood's got the pace and the strength to work with him.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just more concerned about, yes, it'd be great for Lance Franklin, but if our midfield doesn't fire, it won't matter who picks up Franklin.
Yeah.
Because the ball won't get down there enough to worry about it.
No, that's true. Now, Stephen, your second matchup, please.
Well, mine's a very interesting one. It's not actually a matchup per se, but it's actually Sam Reid versus his injuries.
Oh, that's terrible.
It is, but I'm a bit concerned for poor old Sam Reid. While he made it through the JLT matches, he seems to do this frequently. He shines in the JLT, then when it comes to the season proper, his body breaks down. So I'm just hoping that he actually is able to go through and go, right, I'm going to take you on injuries and I'm going to beat you this year.
Yes, that would be great. It would be nice to have his 2017 back, not his 2016, and certainly not his 2018. I've got to agree with that one.
Yeah, it's a good one. I thought it was fit perfectly for what we're going into.
Yeah. Now, my second matchup is Luke Parker and Lockie Hunter. Now, Luke Parker nailed it last time they played. Hunter was okay. McRae was pretty good, but Parker was the difference between the midfields. If he can do the same again, he's going to absolutely destroy them. And his form in the JLT was ominous. It seriously looked like he was back to his 2016-27 best. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Yeah, I am too. I really hope that it's actually something that comes out of it, because he didn't have a great season last year. And I think Kennedy's the other one who didn't have a great season. I'm hoping both of those two can lift.
And it just makes you wonder a little bit if that shared captaincy kind of takes a bit of the burden off of Kennedy for that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's the reason a lot of clubs are going to it now, because there's so much pressure just on the one captain.
Yeah. Now, a couple of key points, obviously. We do 2 key points each. So my first one is, in order for us to win the game, we have to win the contested ball. That's our bread and butter. But if the Dogs win it, they have the pace to absolutely kill us. And with the new rules, the 6-6-6, they get it in fast, they're going to kill us. They don't have a massive forward line, but they have some big bodies. And I just worry about our defence speed in particular. Like, you look at Lewis Malikan, he's not quick. He hasn't played for almost an entire season, and he's not particularly strong either. So it's just going to be interesting. That midfield battle is just going to be really, really interesting.
I agree. I actually think you've got a great point there, because I think if any team, not just the Western Bulldogs, but if they get on top of us, McVeigh, great player, but slow. Grundy, slow. Lloyd, great ball mover, but it's quite slow. Callum Mills won't even play there, I don't think. Dane Rampy is quite slow. Lewis Melican, very slow.
Yeah, so
I think he's actually slower than Grundy.
He is. I mean, Grundy's got 250 games of experience, and he's a wily defender. And even though he's slow, he still knows where to be and how to get there. So, yeah, it's just going to be interesting. It's another year with our undersized defence, and with the 6-6-6, I think this year it's actually going to be exploited. My second point, is that we have to neutralise the Dogs' run and gun style, and we have to just shut it down. So if they get the ball on the outside into the same point, they're just going to go long and hard and fast, and they probably will hurt us. All right, now, Stephen, your 2 key points, please.
Okay, so the first one I've got is the Swans forward line will be the tallest it's been for years, and it'll even be bigger when Dan Menzel comes in. I actually think we're going to use that to our advantage, and I think it will work because our midfield are not great kicks. If they bomb it in long, we've got a very tall forward line who can either take the mark, but we've also got Papley, Parker, and even Nick Blakey, who is actually quite good at crumbing, to actually crumb off the big forwards and run on for a goal. So I think that is going to work in our advantage.
Yeah, we do have a better looking forward line, I would say, than in recent years. Now, obviously, the one player that we forgot to mention in the outs is Tom McCartan. So
I actually like Tommy McCartan, and I hope he is back soon. But I think he's going to be named for the NEFL practice match this week, isn't he?
not sure. We'd have to look into that. But if he is good, I'd like to see him play because it's certainly going to be between him and Blakey for the third spot, I would think, in that forward line.
I think so too. But don't forget about Dan Menzel.
Dan Menzel,
I think he needs to fit in.
He needs to fit in, but he's still a couple of weeks off, and it's just going to be interesting to see how they actually slot him in. They might put him in the forward line and push Franklin up to the wing or half forward flank like Hawthorn did 2013.
I hope they do. I hope Franklin goes up and plays on the wing.
No, it'd be really good to see that. Now, your second key point, please, Stephen.
Okay, this is a key point that I think may get some people a bit upset, but I actually think it's going to be the case. I think Josh Kennedy is going to struggle throughout the game. I think he will struggle early on in the season, and I think he'll struggle particularly in this game. However, don't despair just yet. I actually think he's going to have a gun last quarter, and he'll end up being the game saver for us this week. I actually believe he will get us over the line in the last quarter.
So you're thinking more like a Geelong round 6 kind of game for our captain?
I am thinking a Geelong round 6 type of game for him. I think he will really struggle for the first 3 and then pull us over the line.
Yeah, he's done it before, and look, if he can do that, that would just be another one of those ones to put away in the memory cabinet and go, I did that.
That's right.
Time for our predictions. So, Stephen, you have a prediction for us?
Okay, and I'm going to commentate this. Josh Kennedy takes it out of the pack. He kicks it. It goes through. The Swans are up by 4 points with the dying minutes. Are they going to hold on to this lead?
Well, do they hold on to the lead, Stephen?
They hold on to the lead. They win by 4 points on a Josh Kennedy kick.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be truly something. I think all Swan supporters everywhere would go pretty mental over that one. And certainly would love that to happen, hands down.
Yes. What about your prediction, Justin?
Parker is going to go back-to-back on this game. I reckon he's going to be picking up the 3 Brownlow votes with another best on ground.
Really? You think he's actually going to be in that fine form to do that?
Oh, he looks on fire and then some. He's fit, he's firing, he's strong, he's leading. He looks like an animal ready to just pounce on his prey, and that prey just happens to be that atrocious-looking top, and he's just going to feast like a lion.
I hope you're right. I love Luke Parker.
Now, looking ahead to our weekend forecast, I believe we are kind of keeping this mostly Sydney Swans based, but we each have 1 point for each of the points. So we've got our sure thing, our most at stake, and our doomsday scenario. So, Stephen, could you please give me your sure thing?
Okay, the sure thing is going to be, and I reckon everyone can pick this, the new rule interpretations will cause confusion with fans, with umpires, with players, and sadly with the AFL.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that one. Look, my sure thing kind of flows into that as well. I've got at least 6 100-metre penalties. So they were the big thing in the JLT Cup, where the players were trying to... They weren't really blocking or holding up, but they were running side by side, and the umpires just went, no, protect the zone, 50 more metres. So I reckon there's going to be a few of those this weekend. I
agree with you. I reckon at least 6, if not more.
Now, most at stake, Stephen?
Right, well, this one is off the Swans, but I think Alan Richardson has the most at stake if they lose to the Gold Coast this week. Alan Richardson, obviously, is the coach of the St Kilda football team.
So you've been watching a bit of the football show, have you?
No, I haven't, actually. I just picked that because I watched him in the
You've been reading a bit of John
JLT
Ralph.
series.
So this is something John Ralph has been saying.
Oh, has he really?
Yeah, good old Ralphie is sort of digging a hole for good old Alo Richo there.
I think that's the reason they've got Brett Ratton in. I don't reckon if he is going really poorly by about round 5 or 6, I reckon Brett Ratton will be coaching.
Yeah, this is possible. Look, he's got a decent-ish team. I don't know if they're looking for Dan Hanbury to turn miracles or anything like that. And let's face it, physically, he'd be lucky if he just got out there and got possessions and didn't need an A-frame or a rascal scooter to get around. But yeah, look, he's in a tough
That's
spot.
a good call.
He's in a tough spot.
They've got so many out at the moment too. Hanbury's not playing. Who else have they got out? They've got heaps out.
I haven't even looked, but I also think it's about 10 or 11 players are on their injured list. It's phenomenal just how bad it is. And they play the Suns, who weren't great in a second JLT, but their first half was pretty good.
That's right, and I actually think the Suns aren't going to be as bad as what everyone thinks.
Yeah.
Well, I hope so anyway.
I agree, and I think their recruits are going to do pretty well. And their recruits seriously look good players too already. Rankine, well, I like the look of him. Very much so. Now,
He's not playing this week, though.
Isn't he?
No, he's injured.
Ah, it's a shame. It's a shame. I really should look at all the team lineups, really.
Yeah. Oh, well, not to worry.
Not to worry. Now, my most at stake, Sydney related. My most at stake is Malikan gets burned in defence. So Jackson Thurlow's come in. He's a Harry Marsh / Jeremy Laidler kind of player, but only like so much better. I'd say he's fairly similar to Callum Mills in the way he plays in defence, but it's bigger and stronger. And Malikan, he's not quick, he's not strong, he's not particularly good. So I think he's at stake for the first couple of rounds. If he can't really get it together and make an impact, I think Thurlow's going to come in and replace him.
I agree, and I love Jackson Thurlow, and particularly because he's Tasmanian, but I have a concern that Horse actually loves Milliken.
Yeah.
And I think that he thinks he's going to be the next big thing.
Well, we also had our backup fullback go down with an ACL as well, so defensive depth is pretty much zero at the moment. And more shockingly, we actually picked up another forward from the VFL, which was Fred Sandful rather, which was a bit head-scratching. Yeah,
I was a bit surprised considering the other one we were looking at got drafted by, was it St Kilda? I think they
not sure.
Picked him up. Yeah, we were looking at two and one went to St Kilda and one went to us. But anyway, that's not to worry.
Doomsday scenario, Stephen. Have at it.
Oh, you'll love this one. And, well, I'm not going to love this one because I actually think we need him in the team. But Sam Reid takes the first mark of the game and does an injury. And he's out for the rest of the season.
No, we've got the same one. I've got Sam Reid doesn't last a game.
Yeah.
No. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was a bit harsher than yours. Mine was the first mark of the game.
First mark of the game. What he does, a Jake Lloyd first contest gets knocked out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
Or does a calf or an ankle.
Calf. Jeez, he's not Jack McVeigh. Come on. And he's not Kurt Tippett. You never know. Yeah, no, that's a good one, but a shocker. Damn you, Stephen, damn you.
Yeah. Imagine if that actually happened again.
Oh, no. No. Don't you dare say it. Okay, let's wrap it up. Predictions. Who's going to win and how much?
Right. Swans by 4 points.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going Swans by 19.
Swans by 19.
That's 119.
Fair enough.
Anyway, Stephen, thank you so much for joining me in our first SwansCast Extra of the season. It has been great having you.
It's always great to be on the discussion. I look forward to it again.
As always, go Swans.
Go the Swannies.